Hey y'all, welcome back to Sword Tarot. Happy Monday to you all. I wanted to come in really quickly today to speak on I'll say it this way. My ancestors and the Most High, Mother and Father, have been on me about to bring forth this message because I've been watching social media and I don't see anyone else that is saying this that has said this. So when you know better, you supposed to do better. So I'm gonna bring forth the message that they've put into my spirit to speak on. And what gives me, I'm going to first start off with, for those of you who don't know, maybe new to my channel, what gives me the authority and the jurisdiction, the right to speak on this is because I grew up in the black, melanated, however you want to call it, AME church. I have supported the black AME church and I'm just going to say the black church as a general term, whether we're talking Kojic, Pentecostal, Baptist, whatever. I grew up in the black church. I supported the black church even in my 20s and my 30s, and I still do to a certain extent. But what I say I supported, I mean, I was there multiple times a week. I gave my money via tithes and offering. I gave my energy via volunteering, working with children's church, or even when I was a child, being a part of a children's choir. So I have decades of invested interest in the melanated or black church. So that's what gives me the authority to speak on what I'm going to talk about. And today, what I want to speak on is what is going on in the current news with President Trump. There being another assassination on his life. This one was at the Correspondents' Dinner, which I believe was a few days ago. I think it was on Friday or Saturday. I don't know. It was a few days ago. And today is April the 27th, 28th. 2026. So I've been watching trends and news feeds and what came across my algorithm to see if there were going to be any pastors to come forward and to speak against the assassination on President Trump's life. I have not seen one. Now, I am a seeker of wisdom and knowledge, and I've looked and I don't see anything. And I don't see any of the normal pastors that step forward and have so much to say about everything else, about wars and the passage or government shutdown. They have so much to say about that, but I haven't seen not one of them have anything to say about the assassination on President Trump. Now, I am not political. I don't know. I've never met President Trump. I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I do not belong to a group. So it doesn't matter to me, but I grew up in a neighborhood and in a community where people would say things like right is right and wrong is wrong, and it doesn't matter who we're talking about. It doesn't matter who we're talking about. We could be talking about your mom, your dad, your favorite person in the world, whoever. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And you pastors and you supposed Christians and you people that supposedly are church people, you all are, not all of you, but those of you who have not spoken against the assassination attempt on President Trump, even if it's just in your house, in your community, in your own household, because everybody's not political, so they don't want to talk about that, and I get that. But to be a Christian and to not take a stern stance against that attempt on his life, that's not Christian like at all. Exodus 20, chapter 20, verse 13 says, "Thou shalt not kill." That's a one of the 10 commandments. That's a basic in Christianity. Like, why would you think that it was okay? And what I've been seeing is there's some people that have kind of been like with a little smug about when it came to President Trump, the assassination on his life. Just because, and I listened to I listened to a YouTuber channel, a gentleman, and he always says it's about who we like, and that is exactly what this is turning out to be, and that is so wrong. No one has a right to take anyone else's life, especially someone that you don't even know and who has never even done anything to you on a personal level. Now, me and my people, we believe in an eye for an eye, but we'll exclude that in this particular message. But you should not be so emotional. What I'm saying is leaders, bishops, pastors, elders, um, everybody in leadership in the black church, in the melanated church, you are called to be a good leader, and a good leader de-escalates the emotions of the people, or attempts to, when it comes to a time like what we're living in now. You don't have to like President Trump. I don't know President Trump. I find him hilarious with some of his comments, but I don't know President Trump. I there are certain things he does I don't like. But just because I don't like certain things that he does doesn't mean I have a right to take his life or think it's kind of cute or cool when some deranged person attempts to take his life. You church people who are sitting on the sideline laughing and thinking it's cute and thinking it's funny that there was an attempt on President Trump's life, you all are out of order. And you need to come on back and get back in line. It's not, you don't have to like the person. I did not like, you want to talk about not liking things that politicians do? I have a list here. The Reagan 1980s war on drugs. I didn't like that. Where people in my community were incarcerated for 20, 30 years on drug charges. They didn't even kill anybody. I'm just talking about people, these were nonviolent crimes that they committed having to do with drugs, and they were sentenced to 20 or 30 years. I didn't like that. I didn't like the George W. Bush Iraq war, where we were put into war based on things that weren't even proven. But that was used to justify the war in Iraq. I didn't like that. I didn't like people being taken out of my community to go and fight a war against other poor people across the water. I didn't like that. But I didn't feel like I needed to, you know, rise up against the president of the United States to harm him. No, you don't do that. In addition, I didn't also like the Clintons' 1994 crime bill. I didn't like that. So basically, what I'm saying is just because you don't like someone, just because you don't like the decisions of someone, even if we're talking about the president of the United States, you do not have a right to want to take his life. And you, church people, should know better. So that's who I'm calling out today. I'm calling out the melanated, the black AME church. And you pastors, you all need to be ashamed of yourselves because you know better. If you want to align your leadership style back to, say, Dr. Martin Luther King, he always preached and spoke about nonviolence. And even when he, towards the end of his life, where he, got more assertive, he didn't talk about killing anybody. He didn't talk about taking anyone's life, even when people, put their hands on him. He didn't respond in kind to that, which I would have, because I don't believe in people putting their hands on me. But that's self-defense. But he didn't do that. So you pastors, I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out today. Like, are you all not aligning yourself and speaking truth to power, and basing your moral compass and your ethics on the Bible? Like, why are we not doing that? So that's what I want to say today. Get it together, black pastors, because you're not leading. You're not leading. You all are supposed to be preaching and speaking and talking about peace. You're not supposed to get into the politics of the world, because politics, like I always say, the theater of politics. But our morals and our ethics, that is constant. And our morals and our ethics, if we're Christians, is supposed to be high. The Bible says, "Thou shalt not kill." Why are you all not preaching on that? Why are you all not teaching on not getting so emotional that you feel like you have to take someone's life just because they do something or say something that you don't like? That's not okay. So I'm calling you pastors out. I'm calling you leaders out. Come on, get back to the righteous path. Get back to following the Bible. Get back to having high ethics and morals and following the 10 Commandments. If you're spiritual, the laws of Maya, follow those. Get back to that, because you guys are your silence during this time is deafening. So get back in order. All right, church people, get back in order. Persons of high moral character, get back in order. You don't have to like Trump, but you still shouldn't support somebody trying to kill him. Absolutely not. So that's what I want to say. You guys, think about what I said. Like I said, I haven't seen anyone speaking on this, so I was called to speak on it in regards from the religious standpoint. Like, come on, this is common sense. But anyway, you guys, I want to wish you guys a healthy, prosperous, great week. And let's get back in order. We're people of high moral compasses. We're people of, we're distinguished people. We're people of having a high moral code. Act like it. This is the time where you display that. This is the time where you stand up for righteousness. This is the time where you actually stand up for what is right. Like, it doesn't matter whether you like him or not. That's irrelevant. Your ethics and morals are constant, or should be, regardless of the person. So take care, you guys. All right. Namaste.